Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching On the Town with Tanya. You know, I'm your host. And this week I have three very, very, very special guests. We're talking about a new online group that I was privileged to sit in on called Sustainable Conversations. Now, Sustainable Conversations is a platform where people, I say, and they will correct me if I'm wrong, a platform for people of color to share the concerns that affect us in our communities, and for other friends of all colors to share their experiences also, so that we can rid stereotypes and grow and learn together. Joining me tonight, I have my three special guests, like I said before. First, she is the creator and the moderator behind Sustainable Conversations. Recently, she wrote and co-starred the role of mother to Issa Rae, HBO's Insecure, and in her runaway hit, The Misadventures of the Awkward Black Girl. Please welcome award-winning writer, actress, and singer, Helena-Joyce Wright. Hi! How are you?
Oh, girl.
Listen, I couldn't fit all the accolades on there. I was just trying to get
yeah. It's a dizzying experience right now. Camera work. It's not my strong suit, and we're gonna get through it.
We're gonna get through it. It's gonna work. So guys, next up, he is the ultimate co-host and knows how to navigate an audience and keep everybody focused. He conceived and co-created EAG's Love BLM, the PSA, which you're going to see at the end. You might have seen him in the short film Care, or you might have seen him in Kidnapped. He's performed, also lucky enough to have performed his dream role in Madame Butterfly in Monterey. Some of his other works include The Departed, Angels in America, One Life to Live. I mean, I can go on. Saved by the Bell. He is Sustainable Conversations' ultimate co-host. Please welcome Chris Chinn. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. But I've not been on Broadway like Helena-Joyce.
Chris, I know. Chris. We're like a little peanut on the stairs. I'll never make it to Broadway. But it's all right. We all have our moments, right? And our next guest, I'm excited to introduce. She is the executive director and administrator of the Emergency Aid and Relief Program. In addition to her social services background, she is also a trained actress and has appeared on stage, film, and television. She merged her passions for social services and the arts when she joined the staff of the Episcopal Actors Guild as the assistant director. And in 2008, she became the executive director. She has created new and innovative programs for the organization, including the Headshot Project, providing free headshots to actors in need. I love that one. The Actors Pantry Food Program, Open Stage Grant, and she's certified in mental health first aid through New York City's Thrive New York City's initiative. Please welcome the lovely Karen Lehman Foster. Hi.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for having us on the show.
I am so excited to have you guys here. First of all, you know, I need people to see, at least my viewers, to see Sustainable Conversations. What exactly is that, Helena? And why did you create it?
Yeah. Well, Karen does some of the most amazing work. I think I shared this with her a number of years ago that, you know, I've dealt with on some level just about all of the unions and agencies, and they're great. They try to help, but Karen always just had such a sense of humanity. And so, you know, artists come in, you riding the highs and the lows, you broke down and then you back up on top. and just through the whole ebb and flow of it, I really got to know Karen. And so when all this stuff started jumping off in the streets, and I would get invited to panels, and I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to get most of my face in the show.
That's okay.
But anyway, I would sit in on other panels, and I kind of didn't want to participate because I couldn't see them being sustainable. I did not get a sense, I understood that we had a lot of stuff built up inside to say, but it was more important to me that a space be created that was sustainable. And by that, safe, because we just have to learn each other. And it doesn't mean that we're not addressing the other issues and the multitude of issues that go with this. And, and they were lightning to me, it's not my job to make white people feel better. I'm like, it's just like the dumbest. For me, it's kind of like, why would we take that approach? Because a lot of times people haven't had to pay attention to these issues. And so now we have an opportunity, and I was uniquely positioned to have that conversation, by virtue of the fact that I studied it, and lived it, and felt comfortable enough in my skin, and having had exposure to so many whites, Asian, just, a multitude. I lived across countries and things. So I felt comfortable being in that conversation and just being able to engage on levels that we don't generally get to have. So that was my thought process in it.
And so when your ultimate goal is what? To have safe spaces for everyone so that no one feels ashamed, that they feel empowered when they leave. Is that
one of the things that I've loved ever since you started participating, because it was very affirming for me, because we can have a completely, opposed, no, not opposed, that's not the word I'm looking for. Somebody help me out, Chris. You can have a completely different experience as Black people in America. And I think that sometimes, because of all of the stereotypes and misconceptions and things, it's important to have conversation wherever you are right now, my standard position has been, I don't know how you could live in America and not be racist. Now, if we don't put a judgment on that and can start the conversation from there, now we can do something.
Right. And that's where it looks like your group is going. I've been to many groups, and it's always when I leave, I'm like, it's too much work for me. Too many gymnastics, but I really enjoyed it. And Chris, as co-host, now your job is to navigate people and keep them, let's say, just keep how do I say it in a nice way? Keep everybody focused on what the goal of the group is, and not to go outside of that and around that and over and up,
Yeah, it's Tanya. It's about not letting people talk too much.
I can't.
And it's just like you just have, and it is, as you know, it is a fine line trying to keep it a safe space and navigate it and make sure people keep on topic, because people sometimes like to go off in their own tangent or make it political. And again, to keep it a safe space, we don't want to do that. We want to keep it sustainable. And we do come up with a question every month. Right. To make it very specific and to make it even more clear, we try to turn it so the question or the topic is personal, because I think that's where we learn more about ourselves and each other, and that we can try to understand each other and go, well, we're kind of all the same. Right. If we get back to this point that, okay, but it's about being honest. It's about being aware of who you are. People don't have to share. It is amazing when people do. It is amazing when people, strangers, are incredibly giving and sharing in their personal experience. The next one is going to be amazing because it's about All in the Family.
Yes.
When someone you love is a racist. And we all can relate to that. I can personally. I will share my story, maybe not tonight, but in the promo and on that night. And it's not an easy thing to share. But that's what we want to get to at the gut of it. And then, okay, so from there, how do we move on from this? How can we start to do something? People always say, what can I do?
Right.
First of all, you have to know who you are. You have to be aware of your own part in this, or not, but we all are part of it. We all are, all of us.
Yes,
you know. So yeah, it's navigating. It's like you said, it's exactly
I think it's a way that we can hold people's feet to the fire. It's not like giving a pass, but you got to give space. You know, you have to be able to breathe in that process, or you know, when people tap out, they tapped out.
Yes.
You know,
I've seen that with groups where people are just like, all right, they don't come back. And that's I noticed people in your group come back.
And I know we're going to Karen now, but what I just wanted to say, Karen, about Karen, is it takes a special person, Tanya, for me, because you gleaned my. Okay, here we go.
She is.
Yeah, she's finding her light.
I'm trying to find the. Okay, anyway, I'm so sorry, y'all.
That's okay. There you go.
But what I needed to say was that because of Karen's previous humanity,
exactly,
no matter what, I knew she might be the only white person that I felt in that capacity as executive director wouldn't do the patronizing thing, would really dig in and let's go at it, you know. And it takes all the previous history. Like, it wasn't just like, let's pop up, I'm just going to find somebody in position to do this with. No, it had to be Karen. So with that said,
well, you just led into my whole thing about her. I was going to ask you, Karen, your role, your past of the social work and the mental health piece must be so important to this work, because you understand the other side and what actually happens up here with people emotionally and all that stuff. So to merge the two together with sustainable conversations, and then you got your co-host Chris and you got your host, man, I could tell you, like, you guys are onto something, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And Helena-Joyce, thank you so much. So Helena-Joyce and I have known each other for 10 years, so at least. And so we go way back, and we have this relationship and this ease. And I think that last year, what was really interesting was that in the wake of the killing of George Floyd, there was just all of these companies were making commitments. And I remember that somebody reached out and said, oh, you have to put a black square on your Facebook page or your Instagram. And I was like, yes, we'll do that. But then what? Like, what else can we do?
Right.
And so we started to explore what are some other things we can do. And Helena-Joyce, we kind of were talking about it. And she said, you know, I really want to have a safe place. You know, like, I was always dedicated to providing a safe space in my work where performers could come and talk about what was going on for them. And what we discovered was that this is what was going on for them. You know, like Actors Equity, which is the main union for on stage performers, published a study about sort of the pay scale, and that you know, white men are making the most money and Black women are making the least money to do the same job. So it was really just an interesting thing. I knew that the community was hurting, the community that I was dedicated to serve. Helena-Joyce and I had this great relationship. And Chris and I also had this great relationship. Chris actually serves on our board, or our council, as we call it. And so we all just kind of came to it at the same time. But Helena-Joyce really has been the driving force behind really challenging everybody within that safe space to really like peel back the layers. Okay, that's your experience, but where did that experience come from? Why do you think you feel that way? And it's really been in a lovely and supportive way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to witness even when someone, wanted to bring something else into the mix. They quickly, Chris went out in the field and caught the ball and brought it back home. It was like, the topic is about, I forgot what the exact topic was, but whatever it was about, he diverted it right back to that, because sometimes we do that. Chris might tell me a story and I might be like, yeah, when I did such and such, and it's like, it's not about you. He's telling his story.
Yeah.
And I think that especially in this time, forget about getting it past me that we're not talking about the trans, or we're not talking about nothing. Right. And because right now what happens is everybody comes up, and then Chris and I, when we did the anti-Asian segment, there was, I received it and I listened and I saw the ease with which everybody, not ease, but it was a level of exchange. And the beauty of this group was that I was able to say to Chris afterwards, did you notice, because I have to keep myself honest, make sure it's not my stuff. I said, did you notice how much easier it was for everyone to just engage? I'm just observing.
Yes.
That conversation was so much easier. And there's a pain attached to that as an African American, because you just live in this fear of this moment passing and nothing changing. So when I was able to come to Chris and say, did you notice this? And him to come back and affirm, yes, I did.
Wow. That's powerful.
Then we could, right. And now that creates a space when we come back to the conversation, we get to ask, not attack, but to ask, why do you guys think this is? Because it's easier to talk about anything than Black-white racism. And that's what this country, so that's where we are in this group, not just a safe space going out, but a safe space coming in, that I had somebody to come back to and say, okay, I got to do a check.
Right.
That makes it powerful all the way around.
Right. And I heard the same thing too. And of course, at that point, Tanya, we had to talk about that, because that was what was happening in our country. It was in March when it happened. And again, and it does deal with racism in America. That's what we're talking about. But as Helena-Joyce and Karen and I all talked about, it will always come back to the sustainable conversation of race in America, and at the pit of it is always going to be the Black community. We don't ever want to dilute. I hate to use that word, but as the chair of the DI committee at EAG, we can't solve every single problem. So with DEI, we absolutely want to put out that self-education to everybody, that our members are aware of what's going on if they want to learn more, that's accessible. But with sustainable conversations, of course, it will come what's on the table, what's happening in the present day, but also we want to make sure that it is specific to racism. America, there's no way to go around it, is always going to come back to who has it the hardest. It's going to be the Black community. There's just no way around it, or indigenous people. But we're going to try to focus on one topic right now as we can. It may veer off, but it'll always come back. And we want everyone to be on board and sharing their stories of all colors, which obviously we are. But that it will come back to that. So.
Has there ever been a time where any of you have been in the group and something was said that really made you say, that's why we're doing this?
Every time we do it. Every time.
Have you ever had an awkward moment?
I remember one time, this was very early on. It wasn't awkward for me, but it was just so, it was a bonding moment. Actually, somebody said something that just lit Chris up. So Chris, and I said, Chris, but Chris, we want them to say things.
Yes.
We want them to say that. And Chris was like, and I think that was our moment of understanding what this conversation really was about. Wherever they are right now, and I'm always going out of my way to not like encourage different points of view, well, sort of, you know, right? Because I don't want us to sit here and preach to the choir and then everybody walks away and we have a kumbaya moment and we good, you know. That's not me.
Yeah.
Chris, that was a powerful moment though. And then by him, like, he was outraged because it sounded racist. It was, you know, you could look at it and say, this is not cool. And I was it's cool.
Yeah, it was, I thought insensitive, and it was at the very beginning. It was, I think, November. So it was in a very difficult month. And a participant, again, I hadn't gotten to the part of safe space yet. So I was really kind of judging. And I'll just say her name because she's not, I don't know why. So Jane. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm forgetting what I said. But I felt, and I did judge her because she was making a comment as a white woman in the arts about how great it is for Black actresses right now. And I just thought, what? Don't say that. And she was incredibly clear and adamant about it. Right. And I did all I could to roll my eyes. And I'd never be in chat. I was chatting going, you don't even want to know what I'm saying. And I was completely judging her. And after the fact, and she saw the chats and she was like, what? And of course, this is before I got the safe space part of it. And Helena-Joyce made it very clear to me. We had this long conversation after. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be like you, where I just try harder, that I don't judge. And I was judging her, and I realized that was wrong. So I'm learning too. Hope as a moderator, I'm past that. Right? Don't we all like, oh God, I hope he's not judging me. I learned that the most from Helena-Joyce about not to judge and just listen. And it's a huge lesson. I'm still learning it. And I hope she comes back. You know, because then I said to Helena-Joyce, I said, oh God, if she comes back, won't that be amazing? And then she didn't. And she still hasn't, but maybe she will. But maybe, I hope I didn't scare her away. But I've learned, and that was my mistake. I would apologize for that. It was wrong. And I think I've never made that mistake again. I don't want, we're not there to judge people. And
but I think that Chris,
it was also before I was moderator. right. So then it was okay because I was a participant, judging another participant. No, it's still not right. It's just still not right.
Well, I think, do you guys think that this, and Karen in particular, because you create the programs and stuff like that, do you think this is going to be like a teachable series of some sort? Because I really think it would be beneficial to so many different organizations, from work to schools to different places. And even if everybody formed their own little version of it, because the safe space, the being able to say exactly what you'd like to say, right? And the respect that it seems like just spoken rules when you get into the group, first of all.
Yeah.
You know, some places you go into and you're like, okay, better not say that. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what I'm saying? But this group, I've been in a couple of times now, and I always felt like,
and thank God.
Thank you. No, first thing I felt was safe. That was the first thing. And then I felt people were honest, because that's another thing. You get in a group and you can look through people and be like, I know this girl is lying through her teeth. And we're not supposed to judge, but it's an awkward thing if, let me see. What would be
you having polite conversation and people just saying all the right things, and
it's just awkward, especially if you're really, to me, if you come into a place, you will need to go to a place of healing or understanding or at least acceptance and tolerance. you have to have truth first. There's
Yeah.
nothing without truth. If without the truth, then it's just, what is this? It's nothing. So I just felt safe. I felt that people were brutally honest. And even if it's not something I want to hear, maybe I don't want to hear that your parents raised you to be racist. But I learned that I have to hear that.
Yes.
Because that would explain why I get certain behaviors from certain people. You know what I'm saying? And now I can approach a different way than normally being like, what? I cannot believe. Instead of that, I may say, oh, okay, well, let me try a different approach, because they're not going to hear me on the other approach at all. So it really helps in so many ways. But I want to know, do you think you see this as a teachable, maybe as a webinar? I don't know how.
Yeah, we haven't actually thought about that, but I think it would be a good idea. I think that it just like, as long as people could, if people wanted to adopt it into doing it in their own group, it would just have to be like a safe space. Like,
absolutely,
I could see it going so wrong.
Right.
If it was like, we're all going to meet in the conference room and do this thing where we say what we think, even if it's racist. Like, that might go over.
Right. It's hard dealing with race without devaluing both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very hard. It's hard. I can't. I'm learning. I learned just from your group alone some things where I was like, wait, maybe I wasn't listening. I thought I was listening, but I really wasn't listening. But now that I hear this, I know what listening sounds like.
Yeah.
When I see both of you, when I see you moderating and doing all this stuff, co-hosting, I'm like, oh, I guess I got something to learn myself, So I love this group. I just love what you're doing. I wish I could have people just sit in and listen.
Well,
and with that, I thank you so much for this, Tanya, because I think this is our first time, and I agree with you. I've seen enough to believe that there is great merit. So to answer your question, I mean, humbly, I have not seen anything quite like it. The level and the depth that we go to, and the historical context that we provide, so people cannot just, and Chris is a stickler for that piece. We again, I was working on my PhD in African American studies, diasporic studies, and so I bring all these things into it. But it was so important, like when we did speak about Asian hate, even though initially I pushed back, but it became something I couldn't even, I couldn't ignore. I wanted to stay singularly focused, but I couldn't even, I'm like, okay. And it's opened up the whole Black Asian issue and some other, and where did that come from and how did we get here? So it created a place for us to have that conversation. But what I was trying to say was that with the historical context, and my focus is that once we actually get to a point where we realize there would be no reason for people to actually view African Americans as equals with all the bad information they've been given. So it becomes our challenge to be informed, check, research. And I can say that this group, leaps and bounds, has gone and done that. Chris will come back and say, I checked some facts that you gave. Right. And I'm like, good. That makes me feel good. In the same way, when we talked about the Asian hate, I brought a documentary to the group, and information tells a person that you care enough about them to study them. We've had to study whites their entire history. Our survival depended on it. If you care about me, do some research and just learn. And and that makes a huge difference, even with our Asian Black situation. I was able to say, hey, yeah, but the internments and this, and the Asian lynchings, and share that knowledge. And for Asians, it was like, wow. I mean, I imagine it's the sort of thing was like, I did not know that myself. How, but if you care about something, you'll put some time into knowing it.
And like Helena-Joyce had said, she's absolutely right. When you look at the facts, and most of the time her facts are wrong.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just, no, and then we learn from each other, and I'm like, what? I didn't know that. What? Mitochondrial Eve? What? And the whole historical context that Helena-Joyce was referring to, that comes back from feedback from our participants. Guys, it's so important that we get feedback. We want to know, did you learn? Are you learning? Are you coming back? What worked for you? And one of the feedback months ago was historical content. You guys started with that, and that was Helena-Joyce doing it organically, going back to Egypt and Africa and all that. I'm going, I wasn't even thinking about that. And so we start every month now with a historical context. Like when we just did There Goes the Neighborhood, we talked about the Cross Bronx Freeway. And us living in New York, we understand that. What it did was ruin communities. But people that don't know that, they need to look at that, And so it'll be interesting to see what we pick for the historical context for All in the Family.
Yes, now when is that? That's next the 20 let me see on my calendar in front of me.
That's this month. It's
the last Monday. It's always the last Monday of the month.
Okay, and how would somebody find your group to join or ask for a link?
Either hashtag Sustainable Conversations, or they could go to actorsguild.org.
Okay. Just actorsguild.org, which I have on here. It's just, guys, forgive us. Sometimes with this technology, it is it's not our friend. So I'm doing all these.
Amen. Amen.
I see the hashtag there.
We're working miracles as we speak.
I still can't find. Okay, I'm so sorry. No, like a drunk lady. I'm holding this stick, and it's just.
It happens.
Helena-Joyce, you literally went sideways on us for a little bit. Literally went sideways.
Could not figure out how to get myself righted, and well, that's what happens. And this is why I don't use a telephone to do nothing.
Well, we're glad you used it today, because we're so
glad you used it.
Find out about your group. Yes.
I put the link in the chat.
Oh, you did. Okay, great. Let me see.
And it's on July 26th at 7 p.m.
Now, this is the link for it.
This is the link to register. You just go in and
register.
We'll send you the Zoom link.
Just random. Don't let them random. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to paste this in here for you guys. There you go. Oh, I did it. Look at that. I'm getting some tech. I'm working them.
My arm is so tired holding this selfie stick, but I'm loving this. I just can't.
We're almost done. I wanted to see.
No. I am loving the conversation. I'm just so sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. But listen, in the world of Zoom and after the pandemic, I think everybody's used to whatever happens on Zoom stays on Zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
And our followers, whoever that is. It's only about 8,000 people. That's all. It's just us. So guys, what what's the most important thing needed for this group? Is it trust? Is it honesty? Or what is it? A combination of things for the most important part to being a part of this group that makes it work?
I think it's like an open heart. If you come to it with an open heart, you can walk away with so much. You can be filled at the end of the conversation, but you have to come to it openly. Like you can't come closed. And I think that the people that do come, and that's why they keep coming, because we feel, I know personally, like every time I come, another layer peels back. And I feel like I have a greater understanding of myself, my history, and other people and their history. And it's allowed me to examine things, but you can't do that without an open heart. So
I like that. Open heart is everything. So guys, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to On the Town, and we are here with, I want to say, the cast of Sustainable Conversation, but creator,
the almost holy trinity.
The Holy Trinity, yes. And we are talking about, race and how do we navigate that, and sustainable, when I can say the word correctly, conversations does that. It's a group that really does that, and they try their best to bring everybody in and let everybody leaving feeling heard, listen to, whatever we want to, however we want to say it. So I suggest you guys, if you can, try to click that link when you can and try to join in. The worst scenario, you'll go in and say, it's not for me. I doubt that you will, because I loved it and I'm sweating like a pig. Sorry, I'm under all these. I thought not being in a TV studio.
It just looks like a glow, Tanya. Where
it looks like a glow. I'm glowing.
You're glowing, girl.
Yeah. I'm a glower. So you guys, try to if you can join that group, or try to go in and just check it out. All I want you to do, go in and you can inbox me and tell me if I was not right about this group. I'm telling you, this group they do not tiptoe. They don't divert from the issues. They keep on the topic of race and racism. And that is why it serves as a great model to me. As an attendee, I felt safe. It was non-judgmental. I mean, there's just, I don't know how much more I can pitch it, because it's something I truly believe that, America everybody individually has to wake up and figure out, what role do I play in this? Yes. What role do I play in this? And it's not a point the finger role.
Right. No.
Maybe, maybe.
Never thought about that. I really do. I agree. I think that so much of where we find ourselves is, it hasn't been, many of my white friends are like, I didn't have a clue. Like, it wasn't like a active, why would they really need to know? Like, what would the reason be? And now it's like hurtful, shocking, all of these things all at once. That's why I was like, okay, so let's deal with this bit by bit, because here's the problem. If we don't, you just walk away with those bad feelings and you find ways to mask it.
Right.
But if you got those bad feelings and you genuinely feel bad, whether your heart starts off, I think if you stay in this conversation, it will open, even if it starts off closed. Right. It will really open, because you're not, it doesn't mean that you get a pass. No. Now we get to say, freak me. This has been going on right around me my entire life. I wasn't sensitized to it, but now that I know, what am I going to do? So this is kind of like the group for that, right?
Right.
And Tanya, it's what you do. It's about planting a seed, planting a seed that makes people more aware. And I just want to backtrack two things. When you said, the first thing you said was right. What is the most important thing, I think, to this group is trust. And we had this conversation. Helena-Joyce and Karen and I had this a few months ago, and it was like, what is it that we need the most? Right. Trust. First, with it, between all of us, we need that trust, and then we need people to trust us. So how do you do that, right? By being honest. Yep. And if you do show the PSA at the end, EAG Hearts Black Lives Matter, people understand who EAG is. But it's also people sharing from their heart, their personal stories. And hopefully people will walk away realizing that we are all in this together, but we have to be aware of who we are and what part we play in it. So.
Well, I thank you. I wanted you to set that up, because I'm going to play the video for our ending, and then we'll end. If you guys can stick around for a second after, just give me a moment. So just set up the video for me, and I'm gonna share my screen, guys. And you're gonna watch this lovely PSA. It is awesome. But set it up for me as I get it ready, Chris.
Sure. So this was conceived and co-created out of Sustainable Conversations. And the people in it are from Sustainable Conversations. Francisco, Nika Beischer, myself,
Okay.
Jennifer Fouché, and we're also all members of EAG, Tyrone Henderson. And we're sharing very true personal stories that aren't easy to share for most people. And that these people did it. And I heard these stories because of Helena-Joyce and Karen out of Sustainable Conversations. And it motivated us to go, let's do something more than just putting out a statement. Let's make a PSA. And so that's what we did.
Awesome. So are we ready to watch, guys? All right, here we go. So let's see. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Let's see.
I was 5 years old, and my older cousin was driving us back from Six Flags Great Adventure in St. Louis, Missouri. I was 9 years old the first time it happened. I was visiting my grandparents in Kentucky for the summer, and I'd gone to the store to get some bubble gum.
We had a town park that I worked at for several years as a teenager in the summers. The park had large signs at all the entrances that said town residents only.
And she said to me, when we go to Jones Beach this Sunday, can I take my new friend, Brittany? And I said, yes, sure.
When I was 7 years old, my grandpa took my sister and I into an ice cream parlor.
I was 23 when I moved to LA, and I got on a bus in Hollywood for the first time. And when I looked around me,
But we were taught to challenge people within the park who didn't seem to be town residents. And inevitably, by example, what we were taught was it would be Black people.
The next day, she comes home with a photo of Brittany and she shows it to me, and I froze. Brittany was a very Black Nigerian girl.
Then suddenly the door locked, and I woke up. And she said, it's a bad neighborhood.
everyone on that bus was Black, except me. And I felt uncomfortable.
And I said to Kelly, I think it may rain on Sunday.
Behind the counter,
The white woman at the counter said to me, don't touch that nigger. That was the first time that word was ever said to me.
Grammy took my sister and I back inside, wrapped her cane on the counter, and said, "We're next."
She started crying. She looked at me and said, Dad, you don't want Brittany to come because she's Black. And I admitted to her in that moment that she was right and that I had to work that out of my system.
There's still a lot of work to be done. Breonna Taylor,
Trayvon Martin,
Tatiana Jefferson,
George Floyd,
Alberta Sproul,
Elijah McClain,
Eric Garner,
the Central Park Five,
Ahmaud Arbery,
Philando Castile,
Amadou Diallo,
Rodney King,
Emmett Till.
The Episcopal Actors Guild is a not-for-profit organization comprised of actors, singers, dancers, and those who celebrate their talent. Based in New York City since 1923, we assist performing artists in need, providing financial aid, helping to pay rent, a utility bill, a medical bill, providing groceries from our actors' pantry.
EAG has been helping for almost 100 years, and we want to do more. We know that social injustice and systemic racism still exist, so we are taking a stand.
Because there's still a lot of work to be done.
Injustice anywhere
is a threat to justice everywhere.
We are EAG, and we stand with Black Lives Matter.
Wow, that was very powerful. Very powerful. Oh my gosh, that was very. It says a lot. Very nice job. I need to see that more everywhere. I appreciate you guys so much. Any last advice you have for anybody when we're dealing with race? Anything you have for us that you want us to know about sustainable conversations?
I think that we, for me, it's about understanding how to get to seeing each other as equals, and we're sharing the knowledge because I don't think any Black person out here, I pity or oh, you know, that's not it, because we know what we're bringing. We just need we need for you to know, and our totality. So then there won't be much conversation about who's equal or why we're equal. And when we get there, anything's possible.
I like that. Anything. Karen, any last words?
Well, I just want to thank you, Tanya, so much for this opportunity to kind of share a little bit about what we're doing. And just like we did tonight, I feel like the only way that things are going to move forward is if we all start talking about it more.
Amen.
So
that's
thank
it.
you. Yeah. So thank you for giving us opportunity to talk about it again tonight. And I hope that some of your audience will choose to join us.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell us
in the
the date
future.
again, for the next one. The next date again
is July 26th at 7 p.m.
July 26th at 7 p.m. And you guys have the link in there. So if you can, just check it out for us, because it's important that we all do the work. We can't.
Sure.
And African Americans can't do it alone, and white people can't do it alone. It is a together effort.
It sure is.
Yeah, it will not work. It never has worked, because it's always been one side doing the work and the other side saying, I'm just going to take a break. And the other side saying, I'm going to do the work. And the other side, you have to be together saying, okay.
At the same time.
At the
same time.
Exactly. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's beneficial to the world. I mean, there's so many great things, in my opinion, that are happening in the world, in spite of all the crazy things that's going on right now. There's so many great things, and we can't even enjoy it because we're busy, stuck on, oh, look at him or look at her and look at what she got, what she doing. Why? You know, if we can get that one piece into a collective bargaining agreement of peace somehow, I think the world will be a better place. So I really appreciate you all. Helena-Joyce Wright, you're awesome. Karen, you're awesome. Chris, you're awesome. I appreciate you guys so much for taking the time. I know you're all busy.
I know I speak for everybody when we say you just came in, and it just have been a blessing. And I mean, so I'm honored to be here, and look forward to anybody, an audience of yours, any friend of yours is a friend of ours.
Thank you very much. So you guys hang out for a minute while we end. I wanted to see who was on here. I just want to tell my viewers, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. But as you know, I like for you to share, because there's no point in me doing this. There's no point of nobody doing anything if it's not about sharing and caring, honestly. You know what I'm saying? There's enough other stuff going on in the world, diversions. And while I love being on this show and I love interviewing people, that's my little nerd hobby. It's also done because you got to be the change you want to see. And all the people that I have on my show, usually there's something I'm trying to give you, something they have that I'm trying to give you. So run with this if you can. If you can go and the Monday night on the whatever dates in that chat, please do. And if you can't, tell somebody else, especially if you have friends that are a little Karenish or I'm just saying, I'm a comedian. Okay, I'm a comedian. But I'm just saying, if you have friends that they can do some work, this is the place you want to do the work, because you're safe. You're safe. And that's what you want. You want to be safe to be whoever you naturally are.
That's right.
Once you see the big picture, you might actually look and say in the mirror and say, oh, I think I need to change a couple of things about me. Or you might say, no, I stand by what I think, but at least I know it now. I mean, so you might not, but at least try. try. So thank
and
you.
And it's
guys.
generational. I mean, because we've got from millennial to I don't know what, older than me, like, you know, like
40,
whatever.
Not that old.
40.
If it wasn't for
But you know,
something
but it's, and that's beautiful because they come and they speak truth in a way that it doesn't have any sugarcoat on it, you know, and they grew up with that privilege, and they haven't learned they're supposed to be ashamed of that, and that helps the conversation.
It does, absolutely. It brings authenticity to it. I love it. And I thank you guys, all my viewers out there. You guys are awesome as always. And I know you're going to go and spread your little wings and spread it around, share it, like, subscribe, not just On the Town, but go check out Susanna's Conversations, please. All right. And my guests, just hang out for one moment while I end. All right, guys. Bye. I will see you guys all.